The Fighting Nerds were the hottest new gym in the world last year. Carlos Prates, Silva, Mauricio Ruffy, Caio Borhallo. The boys were 11-0 and seemingly steamrolling through the competition in devastating fashion, spinning back heel kicks, walk-away KOs, choking out submission artists. But then it all came crumbling down in 2025, and in the last month in particular, all four of the Fighting Nerds fought. Only one of them, Carlos Prates, got the win. His first loss coming back in April when he faced off against Ian Gary. It's been a tough stretch, 4-4 now in 2025, but I still feel like there's a comeback brewing down in Sao Paulo. So we're gonna walk down the list of the Fighting Nerds and do a little bit of matchmaking. The only one that actually has a match already booked is the one that won, Carlos Prates. He will be taking on Leon Edwards, but we'll get to that later. We're gonna start with Silva. 145, we've got a champ, Alexander Volkanovski. Lerone Murphy had just put a devastating elbow across the face of Aaron Pico and seemingly stamped his ticket to the title shot. But I thought there was still a chance. If Silva got over Diego Lopez, with the streak that he's been on, the knockouts that he's put together, the finishes that he has, he may very well get the shot over Lerone Murphy. But not the case. Diego Lopez, holy shit, is that guy fucking good. And what a blast of a fight that was to watch. Silva was looking good. The first round, not so much. Taken down, held there, elbows from the top. It was looking bad. But then the second round, it was starting to flip. He was landing some big shots. He was being very aggressive, which ultimately led to his demise. Taking that big back elbow. But fuck, I still think Silva is at the top of this division. So let's look at it. And I'm going to give you basically three options that I think we can do for matchmaking. 1, 2, 3. 1 being what I'd like the most. 2 and 3 being other options, just in case that one doesn't happen. And the first one is, let's start with the fact that Silva is currently ranked 10th. Obviously, Alexander Volkanovski is the champion. When you look ahead of him, you have Youssef Zalal, who's facing off against Josh Emmett. That fight's already booked, so we don't have to worry about that one. Brian Ortega is not a featherweight, so we can skip him. And number 1 on my list would be Arnold Allen. Where the hell has Arnold Allen been? The dude hasn't fought since July of last year against Giga Chikadze. I barely remember that fight. So I don't know if he's been dealing with injuries or what the case is, but where's the Almighty at? I think that would be a good matchup for Silva. You're kind of remaking a contender out of one of those two guys. Because Arnold Allen in his own right, he's right up there. The only two men he's lost to in the UFC was Movsar Evloev, very competitive fight, could argue his way, and Max Holloway, also a fun fight, but it's Max fucking Holloway. So you can't really throw shade on Arnold Allen for that. But the activity just kind of disappeared. I don't know where he's at, but I think that would be a good matchup. It's going to be a stand and bang type of situation. Both these men chuck big. That would be my number 1 option. Number 2 would be Movsar. And you may be thinking, how the hell is Silva going to lose and then get the number 1 contender in the division? Well, let me tell you, Movsar has ran through everybody else. That's kind of the problem when you have these guys with big long win streaks like Movsar and you don't give them a title shot, is the contenders behind him they've already beat. So you look down the list, Diego Lopez beat him. I guess you could do the rematch there, but I'd rather, honestly, for Diego, I still like that Yair fight. Lerone Murphy, they haven't fought, but you assume Lerone's getting the title shot, so that'd be weird. Aljamain Sterling, he already fought. Brian Ortega's not in the division. And then you're at Josh Emmett, Youssef Zalal, who already are booked to fight each other, only leaving Silva. So I could honestly see him kind of falling forward here into a Movsar Evloev fight, which, to be fair, with what I just saw out of Diego Lopez, doesn't look like it's going to favor him. He got stuck on the ground, but I'm just saying this could be an option. Number 3, I'd say the winner of Emmett and Zalal. You could also maybe do the winner of Steve Garcia, David Onama, if you want to kind of push him back in the rankings. But again, I think Silva is at the top of this division. I think he's marketable enough where they're going to continue to want to push him forward. But the featherweight division, let's be honest about it right now, it's kind of hot. Diego Lopez is still hanging around the top. You got Lerone Murphy probably getting a title shot. Movsar still on a long win streak. And it's a fun little division, and it's only better because Silva is in it. Now let's move on to lightweight with the one and only Mauricio Ruffy, because he is in a different spot than Silva, who had already kind of built himself up the rank. This was Mauricio Ruffy's first fight in the top 15, and it was against Benoit Saint Denis, and he just got worked. A guy that had so much promise. We saw that spinning back heel kick against Bobby King Green, and you go, holy shit, he can do this to anybody. But Benoit, and credit to him, took him to the ground and showed us, hey, there's a clear path to victory here, and if you get him there, he's not getting up. Really just neutralized him in Paris. Props to BSD, because I definitely was counting him out before that fight. But what do you do with Mauricio Ruffy now, because you can't really... Benoit was ranked 13. It's not like he was jumping up the scale that much. Mauricio is currently ranked 15. If you wanted to go up, you could go Grant Dawson, but I think best way is back down. Go back down to fight back up. And my idea for that is Ignacio Bahamondes. Both these guys are in a very similar spot. Ignacio just fought Rafael Fiziev, lost that fight. Again, his first fight in the top 15. They basically did the same thing. They got into the top 15. They fought a guy ahead of them. They lost that. Mauricio's still holding on to his rankings. Ignacio Bahamondes is probably just right outside of that top 15 right now. I think that would be a fucking banger of a fight. And you get to kind of rebuild one of them back into that rising star that they were starting to become before they took this loss. So that would be my number one pick, Ignacio Bahamondes. That would be a great striking fight. Number two, Alex Hernandez has been putting on a little bit of a show, hadn't he? Back-to-back KOs. I think that's a winnable fight for Mauricio Ruffy, but I've been counting out Alexander Hernandez this entire time, so maybe not. Another one of those guys, it's probably fringe top 20 right now, but Chase Hooper and Diego Ferreira, August 16th, September 13th, in the space of a month, KO'd two dudes bad. Feels like Alexander Hernandez' peak power was maybe a couple years back, Cowboy Cerrone era, but still a recognizable face. When you see him, you go, oh shit, he's still in the UFC. And then you see him get two knockouts back to back, you go, oh shit, Alexander Hernandez, back at it, back in it. I think that could be an option, not my favorite, to be fair. I actually prefer my third option better, but it's a little bit farther out. Esteban Ribovics, that would be a fucking banger. The Brazilian versus the Argentinian. Just two fucking madman. Esteban is as wild of a guy as it gets, back to back to back. Fight of the night, fight of the year contenders. I love this guy. And I think you could just sell the shit out of that. That would be a banger. Esteban coming off of a win over, who did he fight last? A war, Elvis Brenner, is that right? Blondie Elvis Brenner, is that right? So he's already taken out Brazilians. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to ride with that. Elvis Brenner. Fuck, I got to look it up, don't I? Elvis Brenner, fuck yes. Had to lost to Nasrat Hasparaf before that, and then the big win over Daniel Zellhuber at the Sphere. The loss to Nasrat was super close. Regardless, I just think this one would be a banger. I think Esteban is a guy that the UFC wants to get behind, put him in fun fights like that because he delivers. So you want to rebuild up Mauricio Ruffy, you give him a psycho like Esteban Ribovics who can take a punch and keep on coming. And he's got some nasty, hard kicks of his own. Really, for Mauricio Ruffy, we're just looking to rebuild, like relight the flame. You don't want to give him too big of a drop off. Like even Alexander Hernandez to a certain extent, I go, well, that's kind of a letdown. I think Ignacio Bahamondes, Esteban Ribovics, those are both names on the rise. Young guys that you go, oh shit, that could be a tough one. This guy's good. So that's where we're at with Mauricio Ruffy. That brings us to Caio Borhallo, who I think probably had the toughest loss of them all because he didn't get exposed. That's the hard thing about Caio Borhallo. He didn't really get exposed. He just got outpointed by Nasruddin Imavov, which is kind of how I expected this fight to play out. You know, this was really, and it kind of lost steam because Fluffy Hernandez fell out of the RDR fight, but this was supposed to be like, hey, you're fighting for an opportunity at the belt. It was going to be Caio and Imavov and RDR and Fluffy. May the best man win. And to be fair, I think Nasruddin is stealing one right now because there's no way that RDR fight and the Fluffy fight wouldn't have been more high-paced, higher action, more entertaining than what we got out of those two boys in Paris. Not that it's a bad fight, but it was just so competitive. It was technical to the point where I don't think really either man stood out head over heels where you go, oh, they'll beat Hamzat. No doubt. They've got something special, which is why this is tough for Caio Borhallo. Not just the loss, but it's like nothing stood out to me that goes, fuck, that's the thing that's going to get him over the current champ. He wasn't really able to get Imavov to the ground. I know he's got good jiu-jitsu. I would have loved to see it. I was saying this coming into the fight. I'd want to see more ground game out of these two guys to even consider the fact that they can get in there and roll with Hamzat Chimaev, which I think we would have got out of fight 2, RDR and Fluffy Hernandez. But all I can think about is what I just saw Hamzat do to DDP, where he's just going to take you down and fucking suffocate you. So I really wanted one of them to push the pressure, and that one was supposed to be Caio Borhallo, and get Imavov down to the ground and see what you can do there. Let those guys duke it out there, because that means more in this current situation for public perception on an actual competitive fight with Khamzat Chimaev than a 5-round decision where you stood across from each other for the entire fight. I'm not excited about either of them, to be honest with you. So what do you do with Caio in that situation? I think Paulo Costa is a good one. These guys have been chirping a little bit. They both were kind of pushing for that empty, fluffy Hernandez spot when he did fall out. It ended up going to Brendan Allen. He'll be taking on Rainier de Ritter. I think that's a winnable fight for Rainier de Ritter. I don't think it puts him into the title picture just yet. I think Imavov is going to get that with his win over Israel Adesanya and now Caio Borhallo. But Paulo Costa and Caio were going at it a little bit, talking a little bit of trash. Paulo said, I'm going to do 3 rounds. Caio called him a pussy for that, said, I'll do 5. Send me in, coach. Make the fight. Fuck it. You know, Paulo Costa is kind of in no man's land right now. He just beat Roman Kopylov, but before that, I think he had lost 3 straight. So I think that's just a fun fight more than anything. But a win over Paulo Costa is bigger than anything else on his resume. Fluffy Hernandez is my number 2 option for Caio Borhallo. I don't like this for Fluffy's, from Fluffy's standpoint. I think he should attack something more like a DDP. But for Caio's perspective, I think best case scenario is he falls forward back into Anthony Hernandez here, because that puts him right back into that title picture with a win over Fluffy. And then the third one I put was Michael Venom Page. Those guys are 8 and 9 in the rankings. MVP's put together 2 big wins at 185, Shara Bullet and Jared Cannonier. I don't even know if Michael Venom Page is technically a middleweight. He still talks about welterweight like he still is in that division. But obviously, he's number 9 in middleweight and unranked in the welterweight division. So, weird. But that's kind of where I see those 3 guys. So, if I had my pick, Jean Silva's going to be fighting Arnold Allen. Mauricio Ruffy gets Ignacio Bahamondes. Caio Borhallo gets Paulo Costa. That leaves us with Carlos Prates, who's already got a fight. Carlos Prates will be taking on Leon Edwards at MSG. Is that right? Where's he fighting at? Yeah, which is a perfect place to be, because guess who headlines that card? Jack Della Maddalena and the incoming Islam Makhachev. So perfect card placement for these 2 boys. I love that they made it on this card. And the question past that is, where the fuck are the other welterweights? This was the hottest division at the beginning of 2025. 2024 ended with Shavkat beating Ian Gary. Then Sean Brady beats Leon Edwards. Michael Morales beats Gilbert Burns. Jack Della Maddalena beats Bilal Muhammad. This division was on fucking fire. And now nobody's fighting. Jack Della Maddalena is obviously taking on Islam. Your champ's fighting, but is Shavkat dead? I don't know. I mean, dude has not fought since December of last year. I know he has some knee injury. Maybe it's lingering. Maybe he's still working through it, but I'd love to hear something about Shavkat. And Ian Gary and Sean Brady, what are you waiting for? If they're not on this or November 15th MSG card, I'm going to be pretty upset if we got to wait till December or next year for these guys to get in the octagon, because all the momentum is right now. Your division couldn't be hotter. The lightweight champion is coming up to fight your champion. So these guys got to get on the MSG card. They all fought early this last year, so they should be ready. Jack Della Maddalena, Islam Makhachev, Sean Brady, Ian Gary, Shavkat, Michael Morales, who gives a shit? Put them all on. But yeah, a lot of things going on. The Fighting Nerds went from on fire to on ice. I still have faith these guys are gonna get right back on track and put themselves back into title contention. Carlos Prates has already done the trick with a spinning back elbow against Jeff Neal, right back into the mix. I think the rest of the guys can follow suit. That's it. That's it for me. I appreciate you watching the video. If you liked it, like and subscribe. Check out another video. Peace, love, and have a good one.